blood, sweat, and tears. That's Evander Holyfield.
Hi, everybody. I'm Brian Kenny, and welcome to Ringside Evander Holyfield here on ESPN Classic. We're coming to you once again from one of boxing's landmark sites, Gleason's Gym in Brooklyn, New York. Well, he is in many ways boxing's ultimate warrior, the heavyweight champion of the world 3 times, the real deal, Evander Holyfield. One of the most popular fighters of all time, Holyfield was always going after the best: Buster Douglas, Riddick Bowe, Mike Tyson, George Foreman, and Lennox Lewis. His career has run the gamut of emotions: the devastation of an Olympic disqualification, the notoriety of the Tyson ear bite, the glory of taking the title from Douglas, and the epic Bowe trilogy. Joining me here at Gleason's to review Holyfield's remarkable career is my co-host, boxing historian, the Fedora top raconteur, Bert Randolph Sugar. Ring icon and longtime Holyfield trainer, Lou Duva. Former heavyweight champion of the world, Michael Moorer. Former lightweight champion of the world, Ray Boom Boom Mancini. ESPN boxing analyst and Ringside regular, Teddy Atlas. Well, he was a cruiserweight champion of the world, but he moved up to fight bigger men for bigger money and greater glory. Let's take a quick look at some of the thrilling action ahead over the next 3 hours.
Holyfield, good left hook! Holy cow!
So here's a man who would not be denied, robbed of Olympic glory and then laboring in the obscurity of the cruiserweight division. Evander Holyfield still goes on to be one of the all-time greats and one of the all-time great heavyweights as well. Bert, where do you have Evander Holyfield on your all-time list?
He is probably, he's in the top 100. I think he's either 10 or 11 all-time great heavyweights. But there's a story about Evander, and Evander was a little train that could. Everybody said he was too small this. He wasn't. He was a cruiserweight and heavyweight clothing. Even when he scored knockouts, they said it was because of this or that. Buster Douglas was overweight. This man didn't hit him with a jab. They never gave him his just due. And Evander Holyfield just sat back, said it was because of me, not him. Even when he, right before the Dokes fight, they said nobody yells timber when he lands his right hand. And he lands his right hand, knocks out Dokes, and they start saying Dokes is an old man. Evander Holyfield never got his credit, and he was that little train that did.
Well, he's getting his credit right now. Lou Duva, what made him so special?
Well, what made him so special was his character and his talent. I think he had talent, but he had so much character going for him, you know. He was the guy that trains right, listens right. Whatever you told him to do, he did it, understand? But he was such a good guy, and such a good guy to train, and you know, and he come from a good family, really come from a good family. I think that was one of his greatest attributes, is coming from a family. His mother was fantastic. His mother, I think, was his savior. She made him fight when he was a kid, and maybe he didn't want to fight as an amateur kid, but. I liked everything about. You couldn't say anything about him. I mean, he was always out helping people. He would gladly go to school. He would do anything at all for boxing, and he was always in the mix of what was good and what was bad.
Teddy, what are your thoughts when you watch Holyfield through the years?
Oh, well, from a technical, physical situation, I would say he was a terrific offensive fighter. Technically real solid, kept his punches short, was always out of the traffic lane. You know, he wouldn't keep his head in the middle. He'd slip a little to the side when he got finished, and he was still in that pocket where he could really keep that flow going offensively. Great shape, great chin, and of course that amateur background. Had a terrific amateur background. That helped him. That served him a lot with all that experience. You know, even though he got that bad situation in the Olympics, he fought for so many years internationally, so he was fighting the best guys. He had that confidence. And I think the final thing about him was the same thing that might be ruining him now. the same thing that might not be allowing him to retire now, that's what made him great. And that was the belief that he could do anything. And when somebody told him he couldn't, well, he doubled up, and he went forward, and he made sure it got done. He was going to overcome no matter what. And right now, that is what's keeping him in the game maybe too long.
Lou, he was always at the vanguard of conditioning, wasn't he? I mean, he did a lot of different things that fighters weren't doing at the time. Tell us about that. What was he always seeking? What was he always doing? What was it like, his work ethic?
It was always his work ethic. You couldn't get away from there. I mean, he was I think the first one in the gym, the last one out, as far as I go. But I think that he wanted to do everything right. He listened to George Benton. He listened to Tommy Brooks. He listened to what they were telling him to do, and he did it. He did it. I think that was maybe, Teddy, the cause of him fighting Bo the first time when he was going to retire, and he said, no, Lou, don't. I can work it out. You can retire and everything. No, I don't want to. I want to fight him because I boxed with him so many times in the gym, and I got no problem doing it with him. He just forgot one thing. I mean, the guy before that, he was being trained with an amateur trainer. Now he had Eddie Futch in his corner, and Eddie Futch put in his head how good Bo was, and that's what made that fight.
Teddy, let me get you first on this. I mean, people forget, years go by, and kids growing up now and watching fighting. I think they're going to forget how great Riddick Bowe was in his prime, how he was the total package. What were your thoughts on Evander taking on Riddick Bowe at that time when they first met?
Well, at first, you knew that Bowe was a natural heavyweight, and he was a more prototypical heavyweight at that time. They had gotten bigger, and Bowe was one of the guys who represented that. 240 pounds, 235 pounds, 6'5", and he could fight. And he had a terrific amateur background, fast hands, and technically solid. The first thought was that even though he was so big, that the character of Holyfield would maybe test Bowe and take Bowe into places where Bowe could not survive, where maybe some of the weaknesses, not physically, but character-wise, would show up.
We're going to see these fights later on, the great trilogy of the 90s. Bert, quickly, Mike Tyson, I mean, is that, you think, what Evander Holyfield will eventually be remembered for? Stopping the bully at the time where people thought, all right, look, Tyson is going to come back, he's going to clean house.
But that went all the way back to Evander's upbringing. Lou mentioned his mother, Olympic Village. Here comes Tyson swaggering into the room, and Evander's playing pool. And he says, I'm next, and grabs the pool stick. And Evander grabs it back and said, you'll wait your turn. And Mike Tyson left the room. Evander was not intimidatable. Evander he just wouldn't put up with which he will not put. And so when he gets in the ring against Tyson, Tyson's primary, if you will, asset was intimidation. It wasn't there for Evander.
We're going to talk about those fights. We're going to talk, of course, about and show you the fights against Riddick Bowe. But first, something Teddy touched on a moment ago. Again, this is a man who just would not quit. And now, as it turns out, will not quit. Here he explains to ESPN Classic why he continues to fight into his mid-40s.
I'm not Ali. I'm not Hearns. I'm not anything. If I have any symptoms that show me that everything, I would be concerned. It's not like I've been through more than a lot of people. I haven't. I'm taking care of myself well. Don't sit here and say, well, what then? Did they need to put a regulation on age and say, well, at this age, you can't fight no more? Then at least everybody know, regardless to how well they doing, that it's a turning point. But don't sit here and do it just because of me.
Stay tuned for more of Ringside, Evander Holyfield. Up next, it's the real deal, winning the cruiserweight title in a furious 15-round fight against Dwight Muhammad Qawi.
You're looking like Muhammad Ali out there, baby. Put that jab right in his kiss and 20 jabs. And move.
And later this hour, Ringside rewinds Holyfield's thrilling 1989 brawl with Michael Dokes from Caesar's Palace.
Oh, look at Holyfield come back beautifully. What a war.
Then it's Holyfield seizing the heavyweight crown from the man who took out Mike Tyson, Buster Douglas. This is Ringside from Gleason's Gym in Brooklyn.
Welcome back. I'm Brian Kenny, and this is Ringside Evander Holyfield, the outstanding light heavyweight amateur. Holyfield beat world amateur champion Ricky Womack to make the 1984 U.S. Olympic boxing team. But at the Los Angeles Games, Holyfield became embroiled in one of the Summer Games' biggest controversies when he was disqualified during the semifinal bout with New Zealand's Kevin Barry. Here's Howard Cosell.
Shot. Even though there's no blood there. Oh, there it goes. You saw that. It was inevitable. Now, wait a minute. It was on the break, and I think Novacek will deduct a point, but I don't know that the fighter can go on. This fight is over. Now the question is, will he disqualify him? Through this in Mexico City in 1968. He is going to disqualify Evander Holyfield. This will be a repeat of what happened in 1968 in Mexico City when Al Robinson was disqualified after he had destroyed the Mexican fighter Antonio Roldan.
So Jovicic, his first name, by the way, Gligorije.
You do
This
that.
is why you always hear Novicic of Yugoslavia, the referee, disqualifying Evander Holyfield. How outrageous in your mind? Or was it, you could hear it, and we're going to hear it again, break, should he be disqualified?
I don't think anybody could hear it. There was a lot of shouting. There was a lot of noise. But it's of interest politically. He first counts out Kevin Barry. Then he disqualifies Evander. Of small interest is the fact that that means Kevin Barry cannot fight and go on to the finals. And obviously neither can Evander Holyfield against a Yugoslav the same as the referee.
Same nationality.
You
Correct.
don't see anything there.
No. Yes, no, I see it. It's clear. No, but
It is.
Or it's not clear. You don't know, but certainly you don't want to see it being that obvious. Teddy, what's your take on the whole thing as you watch it even again now?
In the moment, and that's a tough moment, you're fighting with somebody, and you're fighting for your country. You're fighting for the highest prize there is outside of professional prize, Olympic gold medal, and the chance to get to the Olympic gold medal. And in the midst of fighting, a referee who wasn't real close, who was probably about 8 to 10 feet away, he says, stop. And then he says it a second time. In the midst of that kind of battle, that would be like a guy up to bat in baseball, in the big leagues, and, you know, he's getting ready. He's got a pitcher going to throw a ball 100 miles an hour at him. He's in that zone. He's about to swing the bat, and all of a sudden the umpire says, time. Well, you're not going to stop the bat.
Right.
You're not going to stop the punch when you look at the element and the moment that he was in.
All right, let's take another look at this again, and you listen very closely. You hear stop and then stop again. Let's listen in, and then Lou Duva will weigh in. All right, so there it is. It's stop as he's throwing the right uppercut, and then stop right after he throws the hook. It's hard with headgear on that you're going to hear this. All right, Lou, your thoughts.
I couldn't even hear the guy talking, number one. I can't hear him. I can't understand him. And then he's in the midst of throwing combinations. Look at his body punching, and then he's coming right up on top with a single left hook to knock him out. How's he going to hear anything at all? It was a legitimate combination he threw. It was a legitimate punch he threw. He knocked out Kevin Barry. He should have won the fight.
A fighter is taught to do two things. One, to concentrate when he's in that squared circle during those 3 minutes. To concentrate only on the man in front of him and to look to get to that man and to take advantage of any opening. All of a sudden there was an opening. Bang, the left hook went. As soon as that opening was, he's not concentrating on a referee 6, 7 feet away from him, yelling, you know, or speaking, stop. He's acting and behaving the way he's trained to act and behave. So now you're going to say you're going to put a rule in that's going to say don't behave that way. We want you to behave like a fighter who's going to go and try to win a gold medal. But when you're fighting, you're able to hear somebody say it's not practical. Right. It should not have been applied at that moment.
Right. If there's a clinch, if there's something you say, a referee normally will wait to say break and do it clear when they're clinched.
Out of the combination.
Yeah,
there was no clinch.
Right. No, I'm saying, if there was a clinch, that's the time to do it, but there wasn't that. Right.
If there's a moment to be able to get their attention and separate them, that's one thing. If you separated him and then he goes forward to throw the punch after you separate, okay, that's obviously that's a clear foul, but not in this situation.
And he said stop twice. The second was when Kevin Berry was already on the floor. So we're only dealing with one stop.
Well, Kevin obeyed. Stop.
He stopped.
Lay down. Roll over.
Kevin, you couldn't get a better combination than he threw to the body and then right up on top.
What's
that
interesting,
was the combination.
Here's the gold medal ceremony
and
now.
Kevin brings him up to the winner's stand, to his second place.
Anton Josipovic of Yugoslavia, who is the gold medalist.
Who didn't have to fight for it because one was disqualified and the other knocked out.
Lou, how did that change him? Or did this test his resolve a little bit more? Or how did it change the whole situation? Again, you got him right out of the amateurs.
We spoke to him on it so many down times, and he wasn't mad at all. Hey, that's the way things happen. Again, his character comes in. It happened. Would you do the same thing over again?
Knowing him is probably the kind of thing that fed right into his temperament.
Right.
Something else to overcome. Get ready to overcome this now.
And he lifts his shoulders up and says, hey, it happened.
The irony is it made him the most famous Olympic boxer coming out of the '84 Olympics because of this controversy.
Let's get to the professional ranks now. 12th pro fight. 12th pro fight. Dwight Muhammad Qawi. This is the man that is now a cruiserweight, the former light heavyweight champion of the world. Mine is Dwight Braxton. Took out Matthew Saad Muhammad and defended as well.
Twice.
Yes. What were your thoughts? How past his prime was Qawi, or is this still a great Qawi?
This was a Qawi who, if he was past his prime, nobody knew it. This was a tank. Bullets bounced off of him. This is a little short fire plug, 5'6", who continues to come in and come in and come in no matter what's happening. And even more so, he had a tremendous reputation, having really decimated Matthew Saad Muhammad. And the psychology for this fight, which was held in Atlanta at the Omni, was that in his 12th fight, here comes Evander, and Qawi is throwing Pampers at him during the press conference, calling him a baby. It just didn't make sense that Evander could go all these number of hard rounds with Dwight Muhammad Qawi.
Why this guy at this point in his career, Lou?
Pardon?
Why take on Qawi 12th pro fight? Why?
I thought that Evander was set. I thought he was ready. We showed him tapes. And we did a lot of checking on Qawi, and we know his style would be made to order for him. I remember one thing. This was a 15-rounder.
Right.
It wasn't a 12-rounder. It was a 15-rounder.
And what was the most he'd gone before?
Hot, and it was hot.
What was the most number of rounds he'd gone before? 8?
8 rounds, that's all.
When we come back here, more from Holyfield Qawi. Later on, we'll have some of Holyfield's epic heavyweight slugfest as well, including his duel with George Foreman.
Holyfield with a combination. Foreman is staggered. George Foreman is staggered. He's in trouble. Holyfield pours it on.
And of course, his trilogy of fights with Riddick Bowe. This is Ringside, Evander Holyfield on ESPN Classic.
Welcome back to Ringside, Evander Holyfield. Let's head back to the Omni in Atlanta. It's July 12, 1986, and the 23-year-old cruiserweight is fighting in his hometown against Dwight Muhammad Qawi for the WBA title. It would be his first big test as a pro.
We enter round 13, which means we have a maximum of 3 to go. Alex, how would you summarize the 12 we've seen so far?
I think Evander has just had a little bit more energy, a little bit more punching and combination, throw more punches and landed more. I have him ahead by 4 points at this stage. There could be a lot of people who disagree with me, especially people who give points for aggression. Dwight has done almost all of the aggression in terms of coming in throughout the fight.
And Holyfield, as he has, coming out strong in the early part of the round. Teeing off on the head of Qawi. Qawi trying to cover up. Now let's see if history repeats itself again. Will Qawi come lunging back at Holyfield, who has used up too much energy?
Yeah, of course he will. But he does not have, he's just been worn down a little bit too much right now. He just can't come back with enough to make up for what Holyfield did. Right now, Dwight's well behind in this round with a minute gone in the round.
Remember, 3 judges at ringside doing the scoring on the 10-point must system. Referee Vinny Renaud does not figure.
And Vinny Renaud is going to warn him again. He did not take a point away. I thought that he would come in and penalize Dwight for a point there, but he did not.
A point there would have really changed things for the final couple of rounds. Midway point, or thereabouts, of round 13.
Dwight's just not throwing enough punches. He's just taking time off inside. He's fighting in spurts. He's just not a fighter, of course, fighting all the time. It's impossible with this kind of a pace and the punches they've absorbed. But Evander is just out busying him. He's just beating to the punch.
And you notice the taunting that we saw a little bit of in the earlier rounds is completely absent.
At the end of the last round, Dwight looked at Evander to see what...
Boy, wasn't that a great look he gave him?
Yeah, he gave him a look to say, what are you still doing here? Evander just calmly walked back to his corner.
Holyfield sliding away from that right nicely.
You know, we talked a lot about how this is the only time that Evander Holyfield has been this far. Dwight has only been this far once before. That was his 15-round decision loss to Michael Spinks.
Chin of Cowie.
You hit me, I'll hit you.
And then I'll hit you again. Great combination. 2 to the chin of Cowie. Some more. His gloves have dropped.
Believe it or not, Cowie dropped his gloves. He does that to try to entice Evander into letting his hands go and trying to get some counter-punching opportunities. But he took some punishment there.
A right that looked like it just glanced off the chin of Cowie. No big damage, but there certainly was a lot behind it. And the school bell sounds, and the round is over. 2 to go. They're loving it in Atlanta.
So with 13 rounds in the book, Holyfield is taking the fight to the champion, Dwight Muhammad Cowie. Coming up, we'll have the conclusion of Holyfield-Cowie. And later on, Holyfield takes on the heavyweights, including memorable bouts with Michael Dokes, Burt Cooper, Ray Mercer, George Foreman, and of course the Riddick-Bowe trilogy.
Burroughs taking punishment.
All that and more when Ringside of Evander Holyfield continues here on ESPN Classic.
Everybody thought I was going to lose my first championship fight against the White Muhammad Cowie. One thing I say about him, he's competitive. He's competitive on a level, certain level, and he got a heck of an ego. They say, he ain't ready. This guy ain't ready. Ain't no way in the world. But you know what? I didn't believe that. I believed that I could, and I did it.
Come on, baby. Come on.
You know this guy's coming out of hell now, right?
Right. Let's go.
Here's the good night. This is it right here. This is all
Get that jab on his body and turn, move.
It's the final round of the WBA World Junior Heavyweight Championship of the World. Dwight Muhammad Cowie, who yesterday called Evander Holyfield mediocre, would not be saying that to us right now.
He didn't believe it either. He was just trying to psych him out. He was not able to do that. He has not been able to do that. On my scorecard, Evander Holyfield is ahead by 5 points and in control of this fight. That is, of course, unofficial. Again, Evander slipped this time in Cowie's corner. He did not go down this time. Vinny Renaud stops the clock, orders both corners to dry him up. Each corner is just soaking his man with water and ice, trying to revive him, trying to make his man the pressure.
I see ice cubes up in the corner of Holyfield right above us here at ringside. That right snapped the jaw of Holyfield. Another left coming in from Cowie.
Both fighters are going to let it all hang out here in the 15th and final round.
Alex, do you think Cowie realizes or thinks that he is behind?
I really wouldn't want to take a guess, Al. I think he must know. But you can't tell from his style because he fights the same way all the time. He's trying to knock your head off all the time.
I was wrong. The chant is definitely holy, holy for Holyfield. It's his hometown, remember. They've watched him mature. They've watched him in the Olympic Games. Perhaps they share that disappointment with him.
He has done them very, very proud, and himself very proud today, Al.
But here's Cowie, the veteran. Does he have any tricks left?
Dwight has nothing to be ashamed of either. He has given, I think, everything he has to give. I just don't think at this age and at that weight that he can give enough to beat. In my opinion, he hasn't given enough to beat this young challenger.
Now we're approaching the final minute of the 15th and final round, but there was a stoppage to wipe off the corners.
And that time, Cowie looked at Vinny Raynon, the referee, and asked him what he was warning him about. He didn't understand. Cowie asking Raynon to warn Holyfield for Holy behind the head. And Cowie landed a good left hook there. Evander may have flirted a little bit too much early in this round. He's going to have to gut the end of this round out.
Holyfield tripping again.
And give Dwight Muhammad Cowie credit. He did not let a punch go when Holyfield was down. We can see Dwight head on right now. He is very tired. He is just wide open with his mouth. Could barely hold his hands up, and he backs up.
A big right that really stunned Cowie. He stuttered. But now, look at him. Still, fire left in his eyes and in some of his punches.
I think that was the experience. I think Dwight may know he has to knock him out. I think he might have thought the way to get him to come in wide open was to back up. And there's the final bell.
So in his 12th professional fight, the 23-year-old Evander Holyfield gains his first world title in a split decision. Following the fight, a severely dehydrated Holyfield spent the night in a local hospital. Doctors estimated that he lost 10 to 12 pounds during the bout. 18 months later, Holyfield and Cowie resumed ring hostilities in Atlantic City. Steve Albert and Dr. Freddie Pacheco had the call.
Holyfield survived the early barrage. Boxed wisely, came on strong from the 6th round on, dominating the later rounds.
In that fight, Holyfield ran out of gas. Oh!
Cowie is down!
That was a good, sharp hook. I don't think that Dwight is hurt as much as he was just crouching down when he got hit. It doesn't look like he's hurt.
A flash knockdown, round 4 for Evander Holyfield.
Certainly enough time left for Evander to put some hurt on him. Under a minute left to go.
Now Cowie trying to storm back. A wild miss and he goes down again. Cowie is down on his stomach. It's all over.
He's getting up. He's over. It's over. He cannot get up. He stayed, looked at the doctor right in the face, shook his head, and that was the end of that. Holyfield in a knockout at 2 minutes and 30 seconds of the 4th round.
Next up, the real deal trading shots with Michael Dynamite Dokes. This bout in 1989 was billed as the date with destiny. And it had everything. Toe-to-toe brawling, low blows, and fighting after the bell.
I don't want that no more, okay?
Later, a special presentation of Holyfield's Battle of the Ages against Big George Foreman. Plus, a special guest appearance by Ray Boom Boom Mancini, who shares insight on Holyfield versus Riddick Bowe. Keep it on Classic for Ringside, Evander Holyfield.
A classic Ringside encore weighs in on the real deal. From Olympic controversy to championship glory, what makes the heart of this warrior tick?
That's what made him great, the belief that he could do anything.
Classic Ringside, Evander Holyfield, 8 p.m. Saturday on ESPN Classic.
This is Ringside. After knocking out Dwight Muhammad Cowie, Evander Holyfield took on Carlos De Leon for the undisputed cruiserweight title. It would be a signature slugfest for Holyfield.
Look at the blood now on that little nick. Has become a big cut over the left eye of De Leon.
Combination by Holyfield to the head of De Leon. That one sent De Leon reeling back. A blistering attack by Evander Holyfield. Round 8. Mills Lane steps in. He has stopped the fight.
Evander Holyfield is the undisputed cruiserweight, junior heavyweight champion of the world.
Welcome back to Gleason's Gym and ringside Evander Holyfield. With that victory over Carlos De Leon in 1988, Holyfield unified the cruiserweight division and recorded his 6th straight knockout. Before the fight, Holyfield had declared he could beat the heavyweight champion of the world, Mike Tyson. And now he turned his attention to the heavyweight division. Many doubted he had the power to trouble the heavyweights. He would prove the critics wrong, though, against former heavyweight titleist Michael Dokes. And I do call him a titleist, Burt Randolph Sugar. He had a belt at one point. Where is Dokes in his career, in his life at this point?
Well, after he had won the title from Mike Weaver, in probably the shortest, as I remember it, changeover, 42 seconds, I think, in the first round of a championship, and defended it successfully against Weaver, he lost to Harry Kutsia. And then his career momentarily went downhill because of cocaine addiction. He went into rehab, he came back. All that said, he still had fast hands, a dynamite punch, as witness his nickname, and great chin. And this, for Evander, after beating Pinklin Thomas and beating first fight, Quick Tillis, was to be the real test of whether he could do it with the big boys, whether he could hold up former cruiserweight, 14 pounds more, but did he belong?
Let's go to March right now, March 11th, 1989 in Las Vegas. Let's pick it up and talk about this fight, again with Lou, with Teddy. Lou, let me start with you as we pick up this fight and go to Las Vegas in 1989. What were your thoughts going in here? I mean, here's Dokes, obviously had his personal problems, but still a guy with some talent. What were your thoughts?
I knew that Evander, by keeping on top of him, was going to make him fight. And as much as he made him fight, I think he would run out of gas, and he ran out of gas, and especially when Evander started putting the combinations together.
Teddy, I thought at the time when I heard that, Evander said he was going to move up, so he was going to fight heavyweights, thought he could beat Mike Tyson. I thought, man, Evander, you're very good, but man, that's crazy. What were your thoughts at the time?
Well, my thoughts was that this was a guy who was a really good offensive fighter. And this was a guy who obviously was a very confident guy, a very strong guy mentally. That why couldn't a smaller man handle a bigger guy? I used to admire I had an opportunity to look at the old tapes, being with Cusimano, Jim Jacobs would send up the old tapes up to Catskill. So I was able to see a lot of the old-time guys that would fight at a smaller weight versus a bigger guy. And it wasn't a disadvantage. It was an advantage. Because, the things that we look at, the size and those things we look at as a disadvantage, we don't look at the advantages. They're quicker. They're guys that are technically better than some of the bigger guys because they had to be technically better because the smaller guys brought better technical skills to the game. So the bigger guys depended on strength and size and power more, not on technique. So I was thinking, why can't he have an advantage like the old-time guys we used to look at that used to step up and weight and be able to be successful with the bigger guys? So I thought Holyfield could do it. It was a matter of who he was going to fight. I thought with Dokes, the guy was a little sharp-worn. The guy had been through problems with drug rehab and different situations like that. And Holyfield, with his consistency and with his technical skills and with his speed, he was fighting a guy who was fast. Dokes was known, as Burt said, for hand speed. But Holyfield was a smaller guy, so you knew he was going to match, if not surpass him, in that area. I thought Holyfield was going to take care of himself pretty darn good.
Lou?
I'll tell you, one thing we're overlooking also is in his training sessions, we used big guys in there, big heavy guys, strong guys in there, to see how he would hold up and how we do so we could change his combinations and all of that stuff. And he handled them. We trained for a couple months for that fight, but he handled it. And all we kept giving him is big heavyweights, big heavyweights, big heavyweights. And I knew when he stepped into that ring, he was ready for any big heavyweight, and that's what happened.
Let's go to round 8 right now. Again, the fight had some low blows from both fighters in this one to exchange punches after the bell in several rounds. Both, though, willing to exchange throughout the entire fight. Here is round 8.
Michael Dokes is going to have to do something dramatic in the next round or two to turn the tide. Or he may walk out of here without the belt he walked in with. Round 8. A great heavyweight battle. This is a very important round for Michael Dokes. He must establish some offense once again. Yeah, he's trying. Look at those lefts get in. But they don't have much of an effect on Evander Holyfield. This guy's got a chin, folks. Don't forget a 1-point penalty to Michael Dokes in the 6th round for low blows. Referee Richard Steele admonishing both guys once again.
Protect yourself at all times.
It would be a closer fight without that 1-point penalty.
Don't hold him. Give him up. Give him up.
Richard Steele was voted the referee of the year in 1988. It's easy to see why. He does a great job, doesn't he?
Watch out, boy.
He's in complete control.
Give him up. Give him up.
Oh, a good uppercut again from Holyfield. He's become more accurate with his punches as the fight's gone on. Some may question his knockout power, but there is no doubt about his punching ability in terms of accuracy. Evander Holyfield is a heck of a boxer. But he got nailed a couple of times there and backed up by Dokes. What a tough guy Michael Dokes is. In and out of the ring. His courage is showing. He's in some trouble in this fight, but keeps on answering back. Holyfield may be in a bit of trouble here. We'll have to wait and see if he can weather this storm. Good right hand. Another good left. And Holyfield answers back with a left of his own. And a right. Great shot by Holyfield. That uppercut has been getting home for Evander. It was a big surge by Michael Dokes, but oh, look at Holyfield come back beautifully. What a war. Great combination by Holyfield. The tape is loose on Michael Dokes' right hand from Richard Steele's angle. He doesn't notice it. Now he's got it. No, he doesn't. And that tape is dangerous. That could cut Holyfield wide open. Look at these two trade shots. Time for a deep breath. They needed it. The end of round 8. That's a great heavyweight round, folks. You won't see any better, ever.
Stay tuned for more of Holyfield versus Michael Dokes here on Ringside. See Evander go vintage warrior on Dokes in the 10th.
Dokes there. He's bagging him. He's hurt.
And later this hour, it's Big George Foreman on the comeback trail. In the Battle of the Ages, Holyfield Foreman ahead.
Brian Kenny back here with you. Welcome back to Ringside. Evander Holyfield from Gleason's Gym here in the shadow of the Brooklyn Bridge. Michael Dokes was Holyfield's first big test in the heavyweight division. Critics didn't think Holyfield had the power to take on the top heavyweights. But in round 10 against Dokes, Holyfield would make the case for himself as a legitimate heavyweight contender.
Anybody who bought a ticket to this fight will save the sub. A collector's item. Just a couple weeks back, Roberto Duran and Iran Barkley had a classic fight. This one's every bit as good. Looks like there's going to be a lot of contenders for Fight of the Year in 1989.
Punching it out. Punching it out.
Good exchange by both men.
Let him go,
Sweat flying on every punch right now.
Keep it clean. Keep it clean.
Some puffiness in the right eye of Evander Holyfield, and he sets the left hand right on the eye from Michael Dokes.
Step back. Step back.
Oh, and Holyfield may have hurt Dokes there. He's bagging him. He's hurt. Can Holyfield put him out? It looks like Dokes hit the wall with that punch. There, he's hurt badly by a body shot. Pins to the rope, and that's it. Richard Steele steps in as Dokes collapses. It's all over. It's all over. The new Continental America's champion is Evander Holyfield. the #1 ranked heavyweight in the world.
There's Lou in there. What's going on, Lou? What's racing through your mind at that point?
I'm saying you're a champ. You're a champ out there. You did it like a champ out there. I mean, he did it. He followed instructions. He took punches and went right back at him. He fought like a true champion out there.
So let's get back into this fight first, and let's watch this power toward the end. Teddy, what are your thoughts seeing Evander at this point in his career?
Well, he's taking advantage of the things that he should take advantage of. Being a guy who came up in weight, was a smaller guy, was a quicker guy. You know, we know those had quick hands, but Holyfield could match those hands, and he had quicker feet. So instead of saying, hey, he had disadvantages, how's he going to handle bigger guys? He made the bigger guys uncomfortable. How are they going to handle a quick guy who's not that far off from a heavyweight, but has better skills and is more versatile, can go inside, can go outside? He showed that, and he showed why he was going to be a guy that was going to be reckoned with in the heavyweights, the same as he was in the cruiserweights. Also, once he got a guy going, offensively, he had the ability, and a lot of tremendous fighters have that, to stay in the pocket and not lose his stream, not lose his flow offensively. Instead of going out and leaving a guy alone and letting a guy recover, he would just get off on the side, stay right in that pocket, and keep that offense going. Guys like Sugar Ray Leonard and, you know, the welterweights, he was able to do that when he had to against guys like Tommy Hearns. Holyfield was able to bring that asset, that talent, to the bigger guys.
All right, so now Buster Douglas is the heavyweight champion of the world. Teddy, it's a masterful performance against Mike Tyson. What were you thinking of this fight now, Douglas versus Holyfield?
You know, when Douglas beat Tyson, it was not the usual Douglas. He was a guy who was a big heavyweight, had plenty of skills, knew how to box, knew how to fight, but didn't have a resolve. And a lot of fights, the question was, and I'll be even plainer, they were talking about his heart. And I hate to say heart with any fighter, because anyone who get in that ring, they got heart. Right. You know, it's just a matter to what degree with the other guys around. And that was always a question about Douglas, that he didn't have that kind of resolve, that kind of character, intestinal fortitude. But that night with Tyson, he had it. We already knew he could fight, but he had it. I think because his mom had died, and he figured nothing could hurt him more than his mother dying. So he had a mission that night. But I remember picking Holyfield. I'm not being a Monday morning quarterback. I know I'm not that smart.
Had he weighed in yet?
I knew.
Wait, before or after the weigh-in?
Both, because we already
okay.
knew the word.
Right.
Because, you know, the boxing people know what a guy's going to weigh. We already knew he was very heavy. Anything he weighed didn't mean anything because he was going to take it down in the last minute, you know, just for presentation, to look better. Right. But we had heard he was way overweight, and I figured he's going back to his old self. He's not going to have that resolve. That was one night. That was a one-night deal that he had it with Tyson. He was going to go back to the old Douglas. His weight being heavy, he was going to have an excuse not to deal with a dynamic guy. I thought Holyfield would wind up having his way.
And for Buster Douglas, that was his career fight. That was it. One time.
He cashed in.
$20 million.
Cashed in quite nicely. Let's take a look. It didn't last too long. Buster Douglas defending his heavyweight title, trying to, against Evander Holyfield. Lou, what were your thoughts when you saw him weigh in 246?
I grabbed the microphone. I said, the fight is over. He's 246. His fight is over. I knew my pizzas had done the job.
Well, I knew he was in trouble when he ordered out for pizza between the second and third round.
The uppercut from the outside, the counter right. It's done. Evander Holyfield is the heavyweight champion of the world.
Yeah, but Lou and Georgie Benton told him one thing before that fight, and that's when he rocked back. That's when he set to throw that uppercut from the outside, rock back and come back over with the right hand.
We had him perfect. George did a great job on that there. Me, Tommy, we were all there, Tommy Brissino. And he knew just what combinations he was going to start setting them up with. And then, well, let me tell you the story. This happened before that, Burst. We're walking down the aisle going into the ring, and I hear, Lou, look over, who is it? Tommy Lasorda. Tommy Lasorda says, look, what's going to happen? I said, 3 rounds.
But you
he says you're taking the dive?
Lou, I just want to ask you, you now have the heavyweight champion of the world. I mean, what you and Evander sharing that moment, what was that like?
The moment, you couldn't beat that moment. I mean, here's something like you had a son and you brought up your son to be a lawyer, a doctor, or anything like that, you know. You had everything going for you, you know. And for me, I finally called the fight right. You know, for a week before then, I'm telling those newspaper guys, let me tell you something, we're going to knock him out. When we knock him out, you're going to see me run to every corner and say, Rocky did this for you. I never had a heavyweight champion in the world. I'm going to have one now. Rocky, this is for you. Except one guy didn't understand what I was talking about. Going out, I meet Sylvester Stallone, and he had his group with him, and sort of fight. Gee, that was a great fight, Lou. And it was nice you saying about Rocky, you know. No, that's all deference, Sylvester. I meant Rocky Marciano.
Not that Rocky.
Yeah, and he just...
Love the film, but Rocky Marciano.
Yeah, a real fight.
Yeah. Love the film, the Rocky Marciano.
Yeah. Calm down, Sylvester.
And being the gentleman that he was, he says, you know what, that's even better than that.
All right, almost immediately after taking the undisputed heavyweight championship of the world from Douglas, Holyfield announced that his first defense will be against the former champion, Big George Foreman. That's another classic ringside. Coming up next on this classic ringside of Evander Holyfield, the Battle of the Ages.
I represent the old baby boomers or whatever they call, and some of those guys who are still hanging out from Pearl Harbor days, and I was one of the babies from back there. We some tough cookies. You just can't jump on us with just 2 fists. You got to kick. I'm the #1 contender in the world, as a matter of fact. And now I'm the next heavyweight champ of the world. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Tune in next week, ESPN.
The challenger and former heavyweight champion of the world,
So Evander Holyfield is 25-0, the heavyweight champion of the world. George Foreman is 24-0 in his comeback, in his second career. Bert, it's easy in retrospect to look at this now and say, well, look, George Foreman, he's 42, but that's a young 42. We all, because when you know what he did. But at the time, were you taking this very seriously with George Foreman having a real shot?
A lot of people weren't, to be honest. I talked to Lou and Shelley Finkel before the fight. They said, this is a hard fight. But George was promoting. He was in the press room the afternoon of the fight, talking to all the reporters. Just being affable.
Day of the fight.
The very
Never
day
done.
of the fight.
Never done.
I mean, George was there promoting. So you sort of said, well, but then George Foreman, who was a rock, I mean, you couldn't budge him, albeit Evander does a couple times. But you know, what was to say? He's 42. He's 24 wins, 23 knockouts. But still, it just didn't make sense.
Lou, you know he's coming in 257 pounds. What were your thoughts on Big George against your guy?
Because we had an extra heavy bag out there in the gym, you know, and hit the heavy bag, you know, and we put a big sign up there, George, you know. But I wasn't too worried about George. I know it was going to be a good fight, a tough fight. Just got to keep away from his right hand a little bit, you know, because George is walking all over the place, all over the arena. He's eating hamburgers all over the place. George really thought it was an easy fight for him.
Well, this is the second largest weight disparity in heavyweight history. Before that, it was only Tommy Loughlin and Primo Canera. But this is a tremendous weight disparity here.
What do you think of the fight, Teddy?
Well, first of all, watching the tape here, you could see what we were talking about with the advantages of a smaller man moving up, the versatility. He was able to box a little bit, keep Big George off balance, and then go inside the pocket when he needed to go inside those long arms. Like right here, he's safe in the pocket. And then when he had to be outside, he could keep Big George from being set on his feet, moving side to side. You know, George, the one thing you can't forget, I thought George was serious because he took several years to pull this off. You know, he didn't just come back at 42. He came back in his 30s, you know, after being off for 10 years. And he gave himself enough fights to make himself legitimate. He gave himself enough time and enough years where he prepared for this moment, so you knew he was going to give a good effort.
That's about 4 years into the comeback.
Exactly. You can't forget that.
He doesn't sit down between rounds.
No. Yeah, it's a psychological thing.
Yeah,
why did he do that, Ted?
He says it
it's
takes more energy.
You know, first of all, he's older, so he has a disadvantage, so he wants to show guys, I'm younger. You know, he's a master of the psychology.
Absolutely.
You know, if maybe the other guy's going to say, well, he's going to get tired, he's old. So he says, okay, I'm going to do what young guys don't do. I'm going to stand up the whole damn time. And the young guy's going to look over there and say, look at that guy. He's younger than me.
Hey, Lou, now something that Teddy had to be wary of when he had Michael Moore was the one shot, the right hand. How wary were you of, hey, you know what? This is still Big George. One shot, boy. That's dangerous.
Well, that's how we had him going up and down, bobbing and weaving, holding his hands up and turning on the side, not going back straight. If you go back straight, you're going to hit with the right hand. We had him going, turning. We had him going, turning. He followed instructions. The guy came to fight. Let me tell you, he got a fight off the little guy.
And you know what? Both of them won, because as it comes down to the end, Foreman, although he might have lost 12 of the 15 rounds, thanks Holyfield and Lou for the chance. He actually says it. I want to thank you for the chance. So both of them won.
Absolutely.
Holyfield wins the fight. George Foreman solidifies his place in boxing history.
Let me tell you something about, excuse me, Brian, about George Foreman. George Foreman was a real gentleman. When he's in that ring and when he's outside the ring, a real gentleman.
He had changed quite a bit.
Absolutely.
Quite a bit. We talked about that.
He had won the Sonny Liston lookalike and Glower-alike contest before his comeback.
Few believed that George would last 6 rounds against Evander Holyfield, then again, the heavyweight champion of the world. But once again, the 42-year-old fighter on a mission. He's being very durable, still going for his shot. Let's pick it up right now. Here's round 7.
He's looking a little bit rejuvenated.
That's a tough way to find the fountain of youth. Get hit in the face by Evander Holyfield.
Oh! Right hand from Foreman.
Definitely.
Son Holyfield.
George is coming on like gangbusters here. That looping overhand right found a home.
And a little short chopping uppercut. The overhand right. Holyfield's got to move. He's got to get out of there. And he comes back with a left hook of his own.
Evander took a series of hard punches. I think he stayed in there a little bit too long. But George is certainly hammering home some clubbing shots.
George is now trying to rip the uppercut inside. He's gone to that in this round. Here comes Holyfield. Doubling his left and his right. Scoring heavily.
A series of approximately half a dozen combinations. Flushing George Foreman's face, and he's hardly budged.
George Foreman just took some tremendous shots.
Those are the punches that have put down all the heavyweights that Evander Holyfield has faced so far. If not put them down, certainly stop them. And here's George coming back. And what's got to be the most exciting round of the fight so far, Dick. They both had good flurries.
The crowd is on its feet, cheering. 19,000 strong.
What many people thought might be a farce is turning out to be a classic, Dick. George Foreman has far more than I certainly gave him credit for. Another combination. They're trading combinations. Holyfield's are sharper, but Foreman certainly carrying more weight.
Foreman appears unbothered by those punches. It's amazing. It's incredible.
I think they're both feeling the pace right now. They're taking a breather by mutual consent.
30 seconds remaining in round 7. Scheduled for 12.
Let him loose. Let him go. Step back. Step back.
Both men hanging on a little bit. 10 seconds remaining in round 7.
What a round.
What a round is right. And I can't wait to see the replay on that round.
What you got to do is step around him with the jab. You understand? Hey, listen. Now just step around him with the jab and fight shot.
Let's listen in Holyfield's corner.
No crazy punches. You don't have to. Look. Right here somewhere in the middle.
Here comes the replay. Right hand, left, another right. The crowd is chanting between rounds. There's the right hand again from another angle. And here comes Evander Holyfield back with his flurry.
Holyfield has got to be a bit surprised, wondering why George is not showing the effects of those punches.
I'm a bit surprised. But of course, George cannot be measured by the same yardstick as most fighters. He seems to be a unique individual.
Absolutely an amazing performance.
Oh!
A right hand square on the button.
That's the kind of right hand that dropped Buster Douglas for the count. But George Foreman just stands there, soaking it up, with an impassive look on his face.
Unbelievable. That right hand would have killed 99 out of 100 heavyweights.
George Foreman didn't even take a backward step, but of course he's not going to win too many rounds on point just soaking up punishment.
Oh, left, right. Another combination. A left to the midsection of Foreman. With 10 seconds remaining in round 8.
A left up by Foreman.
Keep it here for more Ringside, Evander Holyfield. Next up, it's round 9 of the Battle of the Ages.
Holyfield pours it on.
The bell is up.
And don't miss the trilogy with Riddick Big Daddy Bo. All the fierce heavyweight action of one of boxing's great rivalries, plus the inside stories from Bert Sugar and our guests at Gleason's Gym in Brooklyn. Coming up on ESPN Classic.
I'm Brian Kenny. Welcome back to Ringside, Evander Holyfield. For his first title defense, Holyfield stepped into the ring against the 42-year-old former heavyweight champion, George Foreman. Nobody expected Big George to be much of a match for the younger Holyfield. But when the veteran answered the bell for round 9, the crowd at the Atlantic City Convention Center was roaring on boxing senior citizen.
I don't know who's going to win this, but Foreman and Holyfield have both gained a tremendous amount of respect so far in this fight.
Even if Foreman should lose, I think it's been a moral victory. Going this far and doing this well, I think surprised an awful lot of people, even though, of course, there were people that pictured Big George to win.
How do you think Foreman would do against Mike Tyson with a performance like tonight?
Well, of course, Mike Tyson would come straight at George Foreman. He wouldn't be using the lateral movement that Evander Holyfield is, and as we all know, styles make fights. So it's a different kettle of fish altogether. Right now, Foreman is trying to press. He's doing a good job with his left hand, which I think is a fine weapon. I think he should use it even more than he does. Both hands are free.
Both men leaning on each other. Here comes Holyfield back with a left to the midsection.
Good right hand to the head. The same kind of right hand that Evander Holyfield's been landing all night. And George Foreman just doesn't seem phased.
George has absorbed a lot of punches, and he has come on strong as the fight wears on. Here's Holyfield moving, jabbing. Under a minute and a half to go in this round, round 9. A midsection left from Holyfield. And do they hit with a thud?
George gritted his teeth a little bit after that shot. I don't think he could deny feeling it. Two good right hands. Jar Foreman's head back.
Good scoring from Holyfield. An uppercut. Foreman pushes Holyfield away.
George seems to be puffing up a little bit underneath the right eye.
Two left hands from Holyfield.
Yeah, do you think that George might be saving himself for a big rally down the stretch? Because he clearly hasn't done much the last 2 rounds. It's been all Holyfield doing exactly what he wants to do. Pop shot, move around, stay out of trouble.
Holyfield with a combination. Foreman is staggered. George Foreman is staggered.
He's in trouble.
Holyfield pours it on.
The bell is up. A big rally. And George Foreman goes back to his corner on a steady leg, looking every day of his 40-whatever years old.
At one point in time, I hit him 18 times. You know, clear, clean shots, and he was able to take it. And you know, I hit him with some good body shots. He was able to take it. He was determined. You know, and when you talk about good fighters is one that suck it up, able to take what you give and still be able to give.
I really thought I'd knock him out in maybe the 9th or 10th round. I was surprised. He had something I didn't know, I wasn't aware of. He had heart. You can hit him with a good shot, and he was going to suck it up and come back at you.
More of the Holyfield-Foreman 1991 fight ahead. See how the 42-year-old legend put the hammer down in round 10.
And there's a good 1-2 by George Foreman, and Evander Holyfield holds on.
Classic will also cue up Holyfield's heavyweight battles against Burt Cooper, Riddick Bowe, and Michael Moorer. Moorer will be reunited with his trainer, Teddy Atlas. They'll have memories of his shot at the title.
What did you train for? Huh? You want to be heavyweight champion. Start doing it.
This is Ringside, Evander Holyfield.
Welcome back to Ringside, Evander Holyfield. I'm Brian Kenny, alongside longtime Holyfield trainer Lou Duva, ESPN boxing analyst Teddy Atlas, and my co-host and bon vivant, Burt Randolph Sugar. With 11 rounds in the book for the Battle of the Ages, George Foreman is still standing. Holyfield is leading on points, but the champion is well aware that Big George still possesses tremendous one-shot punching power. Let's return to the action right now, the 12th and final round of Holyfield-Foreman.
And he's the kind of fighter that can go for broke and get lucky and lay you out with one shot. So even though we feel unofficially that Evander Holyfield is way out in front, it's still a fight where anything can happen.
12th and final round coming up.
And final round.
What a great fight this has been.
Far better than any expectation.
Foreman has got to land that right hand. And Holyfield has got to stay out of the way. He's got to move and hit. And not get careless.
Oh, another right hand by Evander. Right in the mouth.
George has a nice welt up on his left forehead, his temple.
I'm surprised that, George Foreman isn't a massive cuts and bruising. The amount of punishment he's absorbed, he's a remarkable human being. And win or lose this fight, he's given us all something to remember that we'll never forget.
The right hand from Holyfield. Actually, two great human beings. Two very fine athletes.
Evander Holyfield's everything the heavyweight champion should be, both in and out of the ring.
Under 2 minutes to go in this fight.
And to think they laughed at George Foreman when he started his comeback, Dick. Nobody's laughing now. Certainly not Evander Holyfield. George has earned everybody respect with this wonderful performance, win or lose. Holyfield seems to be pretty much trying to just postpone. He's not taking any chances under instructions from Lou Duva and George Benton. It's the prudent thing to do, but he's still putting in enough punches to pile up the points.
1 minute to go in the 12th and final round.
I think some of these below-the-border punches from George are simply because he can't lift his hands up that high anymore. Another good combination from Evander Holyfield.
45 seconds and counting down. In a great fight. Boxing needs a fight like this.
Holyfield seems to be trying to hang on there, buy a little bit of time. You can't blame him. It's been a very fast pace. Holyfield has moved.
15 seconds. 10 seconds.
seconds.
The crowd is on their feet here at the convention hall. They've got more than their money's worth. There's the bell. It ends in a hug.
What a great fight. Evander Holyfield appears to successfully defended his title.
Great fight.
And George Foreman, what a performance.
Great fight, baby. Great fight.
He went the distance. A lot of people didn't think he could.
Great fight out there. You box when you had a box out there, baby. Come on.
There it is, a successful title defense for Evander Holyfield. Lou, your thoughts on this fight?
It was a great fight. Let me tell you something. We sweated it out, you know, because with the big right hand that George had, you never know when he's going to land it, you know. But Evander put a hell of a fight. He bobbed, he weaved, he turned on the side. He did everything he was instructed to do, and we were proud of him. Not so much that he won, but he followed instructions. Again, character.
Teddy, compare Zaire to this fight, where at one point, and we've talked about this in other classic ringsides, where you wondered against Ali, did Foreman just have enough, and he was going to go down and stay down? He had reason to go down and stay down against Evander. He didn't stay down. He didn't go down.
He took harder shots in that fight, and many, many, many more of them than he did in Zaire. The second coming of George Foreman, the new George Foreman, the recreation, the rebirth, whatever you want to call it, was tougher than the first George Foreman. The first George Foreman was younger, he was better physically, but the second George Foreman would have knocked out the first George Foreman because he was tougher.
He was smarter, too.
And more experienced. He used his experience. He was more relaxed in the ring, but most important, he was tougher. He learned a valuable lesson in Zaire. I think he submitted in Zaire. I think he got broken down by a psychology master, by the greatest, Muhammad Ali. And he really got discouraged in that fight, and he was forced to give in. You know, he made the choice, because nobody's forced to give in. He made the choice to give in, and he pirouetted around the ring, and he went down with that right hand. And like I said, he got hit bigger right hands by Holyfield. But he learned something in that fight. He learned it's harder to give up than it is to fight. That the punches don't hurt as much as the memory of knowing that you gave in. And that you have to live with that forever. For days, for months, for weeks, for years. And he lived with it for 10 years before his comeback, and it haunted him. The punches you only have to deal with for moments during a fight. And Foreman found out in that fight against Ali that it is much harder to quit than fight. And that stayed with him, and it made him a tougher, much, much more substantial man. And that's why he was able to absorb those punches against Holyfield.
And he was much more substantial, about 30 pounds more substantial.
Right.
But that makes it, you know, he carries it better, he defends himself better with his armadillo defense.
But he took better. He took better. You know why? People say, what constitutes a good chin? Is it the neck? Is it the structure? You know what it is? It's the mind. It's seeing the punch, and it's making up your mind, I will not give in. I will get myself through that. I will not submit. And now Holyfield, now Foreman was armed with that ability. He understood it was his choice. It was his choice to give in or his choice to overcome. And now he was capable of making the choice of overcoming.
And he took some bodacious punches.
Yeah, he did, especially in that round 9. Absolutely.
What kind of punches were that?
Bodacious. She was married to, you remember her.
Up next, we digress. Evander Holyfield, again, he's still the heavyweight champion of the world, returns home to Atlanta to fight the unranked Burt Cooper. Boxing experts predicted a mismatch, but it turned out to be anything but. Game Burt Cooper would give the champion all he could handle and much more. This is Ringside, Evander Holyfield on ESPN Classic.
Holyfield winging some uppercuts, slamming a left hook, and he got stunned. Burt Cooper has stung Evander Holyfield. He's got him going. Holyfield is almost down. He's hanging on the ropes.
Welcome back to Ringside, Evander Holyfield. After beating George Foreman in the Battle of the Ages, Holyfield signed for a huge payday in 1991 against Mike Tyson. But when Tyson was jailed on a rape conviction, the Real Deal's next fight was switched to a matchup against Burt Cooper.
Burt Cooper, on his best days, was a journeyman. And Evander just kind of showed up and nearly got his head handed to him.
Burt Cooper has stung Evander Holyfield. He's got him going. Holyfield is almost down. He's hanging on the ropes.
Burt Cooper could punch. And he got caught, Holyfield did, and almost lost the title.
Here's Bert Cooper smelling the championship. Bert Cooper. Holyfield still stunned, trying to cover up third round action. This is incredible. The unranked Bert Cooper slamming away. Holyfield is staggered. He is definitely off his balance.
Just when he seemed stricken by Cooper's third round rush, Holyfield responded with a vintage retaliation.
Holyfield now trying to fight back. Cooper is a little bit tired after those flurry of punches. Now Cooper takes an uppercut. Now he's hurt. Now Cooper is hurt. He's going to go. He's going to go. He is now stunned. What a third round this has been. Oh, he's taking some shots to the champion now. He's getting ripped. He is getting ripped. Uppercuts, hooks. Holyfield turning it on. I don't know how Cooper is standing. I don't know how he can take this beating. Look at these uppercuts. And Mills Lane stops it. He stops it.
When you ask, so how did Tyson going to jail affect Holyfield? Well, it almost affected his life and his career tremendously. Distracted him enough to almost get knocked out by Bert Cooper.
Coming up next, Holyfield and Riddick Bowe square off in their first of 3 brutal fights. Ring Magazine's 1992 Fight of the Year.
Oh, a big right by the champ.
Relive the showdown with analysis from Teddy Atlas and Holyfield's trainer, the legendary Lou Duva. It's Bowe Holyfield 1, straight ahead on Ringside, Evander Holyfield.
A classic Ringside encore weighs in on the real deal. From Olympic controversy to championship glory, what makes the heart of this warrior tick?
That's what made him great, to believe that he could do anything.
Classic Ringside, Evander Holyfield, 8 p.m. Saturday on ESPN Classic.
November 13th, 1992, the super fight is on. Riddick Bowe is 25 years old, challenging for the heavyweight championship of the world. Bert, how was this fight made? How did it come together?
Riddick Bowe has earned it, by the by, and the reason is, Teddy had referred to it earlier, he was sort of written off as having no heart after he lost to Lennox Lewis in the Olympics. Eddie Futch took him over. Eddie has trained him and brought him up, so much so that they're a team, and Riddick calls him Papa Smurf. He's taking care of business up and down the line. He's a powerful fighter. And by this time, Evander has exhausted the Foremans and the Holmeses and the others, and there's just one challenger out there beside Mike Tyson, who by this time is incarcerated, and his name is who? Riddick Bowe.
Lou, your thoughts on Riddick Bowe coming up? A total physical package, a great amateur, that the Olympic challenge notwithstanding, but your thoughts on Bowe?
He was a good amateur fighter, a really good amateur fighter. I was in Korea when he got knocked out by Lennox Lewis also, but I didn't think that he would have the heart, the stamina to stand up to Evander when Evander would eventually wear him down. I was more concerned about his great trainer out there, Eddie Futch, and he was a great trainer, and he must have done one hell of a job on his brain, because he went out there and he followed the instructions pretty good, and that's, I think, was the whole thing. It wasn't a Bowe against Evander. It was a Bowe against the whole team out there, and he brought everything along and he put everything together.
You know, Teddy, Kevin Kelly, former world champion, told me the best guy he ever saw in New York as an amateur was Riddick Bowe. Your thoughts on Bowe, the way he came, again without that Olympic Games, our thoughts on that, this guy was a tremendous physical specimen.
Yeah, reluctant fighter sometimes, a guy that had to be forced sometimes because he did it real well, but he didn't always like doing it. You know, there was a story where he was going to miss the plane to the Olympics if somebody didn't get him and go to his house when he was sleeping and actually drive him to the airport. So yeah, great physical abilities, great physical tools, Tremendous amateur, New York Golden Glove champ many times, you know, won the Nationals, everything else, great size, but a guy who didn't always have the inside stuff, a guy who didn't always believe in himself, a guy who didn't always glow in those areas, and those were the doubts. And I'll tell you what, there's different dynamics that take place getting ready for a fight. And I think what also hurt Holyfield, usually it helps you if you've sparred with a guy, because you know the guy. This hurt Holyfield, because Lou knows they had him in camp. Both did a lot of sparring with Holyfield, and Holyfield was the boss. Holyfield had his way with him. And I think Holyfield could not get rid of that image that he was a kid, he was a guy that he was too much man for, he was a guy that he handled him in the gym. And now, instead of it being an advantage going into this fight, knowing the guy, it was a disadvantage because he overlooked Bo just a little bit. Thought that once he put the pressure on him, he was going to start to melt. And he was going to start to take over. And Bo had the opposite working for him. As Bert said, as Lou said, everybody doubted this guy. He had something to prove. So if he was going to do one thing that night, it wasn't just going to be that he was going to jab well and he was going to hook off the jab. We knew he could do that. He was going to stand up and he was going to behave like a fighter.
Did you see one of those clips where Lou Duva is working in the corner and a doctor is trying to get near the corner?
Did a little blocking action there, Lou.
Well, that's, you know, I had to do something. You know, when I'm in that ring, I'm only working for one guy, and that's the fighter. I'm not doing anything at all. You know, I got my moves. I make my Italian moves over here. My head.
That's called stretching. That's called stretching your ass.
And the doctor and the referees are trying to get me. Excuse me. Let me
How
take
long
care
did
of
it
my
take you to perfect this?
12 years old when my mother and father used to push me away from the table. I was eating too much.
I mean, no one's getting through that.
No, but the doctor, by the time Lou is finished, is all the way in the next county.
That is just a small sampling, by the way. We just saw some clips there all throughout the fight. This is an outstanding fight. We're going to take you back there. You're going to watch all of these rounds for the first fight between these two top heavyweights of all time. After filling each other out in that first round, the action started to heat up in the second round. So let's pick it up right there. Bo Holyfield won. Here's round two.
Look at this brawl. Riddick lands a sloppy punch on the break.
Get him out of there, come on.
At this pace, there is little chance for 12 rounds.
Let's go.
Somebody will land.
Get him out, let's go.
About halfway through the second. Much like the first, very busy. Threw a lot of punches in the first 45 seconds to a minute. Both tired a bit. Riddick looking more confident.
Get on.
Good combination by Holyfield. Riddick goes downstairs.
Keep on.
Nice left by the champ.
Get your hands out. Come on, work out there.
Under 30 remaining. At this pace, Bo better not have lost much stamina with the weight loss. Nice uppercut by Bo. Another great round.
Let's go, work out there. Come on, get us out. Let's go. Come on, work your head.
And Bo landed before the bell.
I sit there and went toe-to-toe with this guy, And my corner kept telling me, move, move, move. But within my mind, because Reddy Bowe used to be my sparring partner when he was amateur, I realized that he'll run out of gas. He'll fight me. Yeah, he'll fight me, but eventually he'll run out of gas. He didn't run out of gas.
More of the Bowe Holyfield trilogy coming up as Ringside reviews the bizarre circumstances of their second fight in Las Vegas.
We had a paratrooper come into the ring. The fight is being stopped. We had someone come in.
This is Ringside, Evander Holyfield. In 1992, The Real Deal fought Riddick Big Daddy Bowe for the undisputed heavyweight title. Both men were undefeated in their first showdown, and the action actually exceeded the pre-fight hype. Let's go to round 3.
The champ in red, the challenger in white. First round goes to Holyfield. Second round, a tougher call. Ooh, a big right by the champ. And Bowe backs him off. Evander more spring to his step, as is usually the case. Holyfield doesn't appear to be hurt, just taking some blows. Both guys have shown exemplary chins in their past. Can take a lot of punches. A little more leaning in this round, and Bowe lands. Uppercut as they broke. Under a minute and a third. Little more leaning this round, but still plenty of punches. Bowe's looked livelier. Holyfield a bit winded. Rested for a good 45 in the middle of the round. Wants to end it strong. Fighters with more experience wait to the end of every round for their big blast. Holyfield's definitely a veteran. Nice left. Bowe's taking punishment. Under 10 left.
Give me a clean round. Give me a clean round. Let's go. Come on. Come on. Come on.
Needless to say, that irked Lou Duva just a tad. Round 5, the champion, Evander Holyfield, 27-0 in the red trunks, black trim. 31-0 challenger Riddick Bowe, white red trim. Joel Cortez has been busier than he wanted. Bowe comes out, taking punches from Holyfield, who lands a big left and another right. For Evander Holyfield, Riddick Bowe coming out, saying it was a big round for him. And again, Newman doing a lot of the talking for Riddick Bowe as far as predictions go. Left, right, caught the champion. And now Riddick with a big uppercut. Holyfield taking punishment like he hasn't seen since the 4th. Evander in the red trunks.
swelling over the right eye. In for the fight of his life. And Let's Go Bo begins again. A left flush to Holyfield's face.
Even though Riddick Bowe was getting the better of their furious exchanges, Evander Holyfield was not about to back down. Coming up next, one of the most ferocious rounds in boxing history. Here's Bowe's manager, Rock Newman, on round 10 of Bowe Holyfield 1.
After the second round, I knew Bowe was going to win the fight. Until the middle of the 10th round, when he beat the hell out of Holyfield. He beat the hell out of the man. He beat the life out of him. And another life jumped back in him. I'm like, there's got to be a ghost in this building somewhere. How's that man still standing up? It was one of the greatest rounds in all of boxing.
Welcome back to Classic Ringside. At the end of the 9th round, Evander Holyfield had trouble walking in a straight line to his corner, but he answered the bell for the 10th round, one of the greatest 3 minutes of action in the history of heavyweight boxing.
Riddick Bowe hamming it up for the camera in between rounds. Serious as the round begins. Holyfield in trouble. Hanging on for his life. Bowe trying to finish him off. Holyfield may have saved himself. Bowe is really going after him. Did Bowe punch himself out? Did he punch himself out? And here comes Holyfield back. That the biggest punch of the fight. Half the round. Not even over yet. Bowe couldn't finish him off. We'll see how big that becomes. Holyfield was one punch away at a couple different times from going down. And now he comes back with a big uppercut. And Bowe is in some trouble. He's tired from his earlier barrage. Look at Evander swinging from the heel. Oh, a right that just missed. Oh, doctor, that was very close to landing. 35 left in the 10th. Best round of the fight.
Get the half of the neck. Let's go. Bring it. I don't want any hold, guy. Let's go. Come on.
A right that lands. 10 seconds in the round. See what Holyfield can do with it. Another right. And another. Well, that is one for the ages.
And there is the real deal, Evander. How is that possible, Lou? Your thoughts watching that even now?
Well, if you notice the fight, there was a big heart following him. It was 6 foot or 7 foot tall, and that's what he fought with. Not so much with up here, but his heart.
Did you think he might be going down though when he was that hurt and he was just marching forward trying to hold?
Yeah, I thought he was going down. I thought, but he didn't. I mean, he was in it a fight, and he was in, and the only way that he could have been knocked out and carried out. That's about all. But he had everything going for him. He wanted to win the fight, and you don't do this. And I think at the outset he said about him at the beginning when he used to train with him in the gym. That's where he got that false impression that he could do anything he wanted with him.
A lot of experience though in his survival techniques there, Teddy, don't you think?
Yeah, and wanting to survive. That's the greatest survival technique, is wanting to survive. Having in your mind, not in the ring, but before you get in the ring, what you must not allow yourself to do. That has to be in your mind in the forefront when you get in the ring, that I will not go down. I will not be beaten in this way. That can't come to you during a fight. That has to be there. You know, we talk about these guys physically. They're born with certain physical attributes. Bo was born with good genetics where he was a big guy, he was a strong guy, he had natural strength. You know, punches are born, they're not made. But the stuff that Holyfield exhibited there, that's developed. That's stuff that's developed by the way you live, by the choices you make, by the things you overcome. And that was shown right there.
That was that little train that could. He was not going to go down. You just saw 2 rounds. Yes, it was composed of 3 minutes, but there were 2 separate rounds. And the man who took all the beating for 1 minute and 30 seconds owned the last minute and 30 seconds. In fact, did you see Bo sort of give him a tap of appreciation?
And they broke each other after they heard the bell. You know, they just, all right, look, that's it. All right, we're good. That was one of the greatest rounds ever.
And Bo tapped him and said, good fight. And it was the round of the year. It might have been the round of the decade.
Let's get to the rest of this fight then. Let's see it again. That's round 10. Holyfield, of course, winning the hearts of fight fans around the world with his courage. Bo, though, will continue to pound on the champion in the final 2 rounds. Let's take a look at highlights now from the final 2 rounds of Bo Holyfield 1.
Holyfield stunned again.
Come on.
Holyfield's hurt and grasping. And Bo hit him on the back of the head. Holyfield's in serious trouble.
5, 6, 7, 8. How you feeling? You all right?
He's never had to dig this deep. And Bo is teeing off on him. Holyfield's almost fighting on one leg. Bo's just too tired to get anything off. Still almost a minute. Well, 1:50 in round 11.
All right. Stop punching. Don't go.
A lot of leaning. After last round, you get greedy. Not many come like that. Both fighters kind of keeping their distance. A left tag, Bo. He didn't wobble a bit, though.
Come on, let's go. Let's go. Oh, let me on the head. Okay, let's go. Give me a clean round. Look at it. Give me a clean round. Come on, get him up. Get him up.
I don't know if either man has the strength to knock the other out to this point. Both very tired fighters, and understandably so. Nice right clip, Holyfield's head. Under 25 left in the fight. We'll await the decision. Down to 10.
Chuck Jampa scores about 115 to 112. Jerry Roth scores at 117 to 110. And Dalby Shirley, 117 to 110 for the winner by unanimous decision and new heavyweight champion of the world, Riddick Big Daddy Bowe!
So Evander Holyfield is dethroned. Riddick Bowe is the heavyweight champion of the world. So now there's going to be a rematch as Riddick Bowe, heavyweight champion of the world, and Evander Holyfield will now challenge, try to get that title back. Bert, how did this fight get made? Was it an easy fight to put back together?
Evander was such a wonderful champion and known commodity that there was a call for, if Bowe is going to fight again, defend it against the man from whom you took the title.
Teddy, in the world of rematches, sometimes you watch it and you go, this isn't going to change. Sometimes you watch it and say, oh, this could be very different. What were your thoughts on the possibilities in a rematch?
I thought that Holyfield had a chance because I didn't know if Bowe could be that kind of man, get to that place mentally and physically. Again, I knew Holyfield, if there was a way to do it, he'd do it.
Teddy brings up an interesting point. Sometimes it's harder once you reach the top of the mountain to keep your position than it is to scale the mountain.
Because you've already achieved it. You've already, shown the naysayers, hey, you were wrong. And you've gotten that chip off your shoulders, that weight off you. And,
You've accomplished it.
Yeah, you've accomplished it. And now you can take a breath. And it's dangerous to take a breath as a fighter sometimes.
If any fight guy really looks back on some of the tapes of Riddick Bowe's fight, that was the best fight he ever fought in his life.
That's right.
The best fight he ever fought in his life.
And how many guys are going to fight the best?
How
many guys are going to fight the best fight of their life twice?
Right.
Even though...
Actually, you can't. That's right.
And he never did.
Hey, look, in the history of bizarro boxing moments, Bert, does anything rank with Fan Man?
No, this was unbelievable. I was seated next to Bud Schulberg, who said he's coming in the ring. And I didn't look up. All of a sudden, he comes and entraps himself in the ropes. There is chaos for 18 minutes. I mean, he's getting clocked on the head by the members of Bowe's party. The Klieg lights have been pulled out. They need to rewire them. It's cold, by the by, on this evening, and they have to put. Well, they did at least on Evander. They put a towel or a robe on him. They didn't on Bowe. But I'm standing there, and Bob Ryan, the great basketball writer of the Boston Globe, comes over to me and says, during this 18 minutes, Bert, you come to all of these. Have you ever seen anything like this before? I said, Bob, if you came to more of these, you know this happens every time there's a fight here outdoors at Caesars.
Someone lands in there. Lou, now you're there. You helped Evander?
Yes, absolutely. My son Dino and I were in opposite corner, and we had seats there, ringside seats there. I wasn't working in the corner. And I said it was happening. I see everybody's running around like chickens without their head. They didn't know what the heck to do over there. I said, hey, first of all, it's cold as hell out here. Go over and get him a couple blankets or get his robe and put him over him. And that's what they did. They went back there. They got some blankets. They put them all over him. They put robes all over him. And that's how cold it was out there. And then all of a sudden I saw Bowe doing the same thing over there. It was cold. I mean, Bert, you're right. It was cold out there.
And Riddick's wife fainted, right?
Yes.
Judy was pregnant.
Well, there was all kinds of thoughts that it was a terrorist coming in. They had no idea that because if you watched in the ring, Bowe was coming at Evander, who was standing with his back to the ropes, and Evander saw this, whatever it was, apparition, and he started to walk away, and now everybody, Bowe is looking, the referees, they have no idea.
Almost thought for a second, that's good.
It's like you quit?
I can't believe Holyfield quit.
I bring in the Air Force, this guy walks right away.
Son of a gun.
And and I tell you something, there were some good fights in the other corner with the Fan Man over there. Real good fights.
They were beating the jabbers out of them.
That's another story. The sadder stories will go along, too.
I think he went to jail on it.
Oh, yes.
Look, boxing has had its share of bizarre moments. No one had ever seen anything like that. This is the leader in the clubhouse. Let's go back now. Here's Riddick Bowe and Evander Holyfield. Their remembrances of this night.
When the guy glided in there, tried to get in there on one of them outplaying fan things. It's just sad that what people do for their own attention, or whatever the motive may be, to what is streamed.
When I saw Evander Holyfield bail out, and he was actually looking in the sky, and the referee got between us, and when I turned around and I saw the guy hanging there, I was rather shocked. Kind of, took me, out of my fight plan.
After the chaos and long delay from the bizarre 7th-round interruption, Holyfield was able to continue controlling the momentum he had built. The Warrior stuck to his fight plan, move, box inside, and use his superior stamina to wear down the bigger Bo.
Except for possibly Lennox Lewis, there's nobody else you'd want to see both fighting at this point. Good uppercut by Holyfield. Holyfield landing again, this time with the right hand. Bo trying to battle back.
It's just the first catch now, Bruce.
Holyfield at the better of it. The uppercut again landed.
His mouthpiece out. Bo's mouthpiece is knocked out.
Holyfield dominating the round. Holyfield a combination. Still going at Bo.
And no return from Bo.
I'll tell you, Holyfield just turned another round. I don't think anyone can dispute it. And it's all riding in the 12th.
You got that right. This 12th round is going to have to be the 10th round of the first fight. This is going to be for everything.
Keep in mind how difficult it is to win a decision over a defending champion, especially a world heavyweight champion. A bizarre fight in Las Vegas. Holyfield landing a right hand.
15 seconds to go.
10 seconds to go. Everything's still on the line. The crowd rises. And that is it. They're still fighting. And Holyfield landed a left against Bo. And Holyfield is knocked down. Holyfield is tackled by Emmanuel Stewart. I believe Holyfield was tackled by his trainer. They finally separated the fighters. And it is over.
And once again, heavyweight champion of the world from Atlanta, Georgia, Evander
Holyfield wins it. Holyfield wins the majority decision and recaptures the heavyweight crown. Only the third fighter in the history of the sport to win after he had lost to the same fighter.
After winning back the heavyweight title against Bo, Holyfield was matched up against undefeated contender Michael Moorer. Next up, Moorer reunites with his trainer, Teddy Atlas, to analyze his 12-round war with the Warrior.
You go in there and you start backing this guy up and you start doing what we trained to do. Otherwise, don't come back to the sport. Do you hear me?
Good to hear Mills Lane. Let's get it on, and it's classic ringside here at Gleason's Gym. Brian Kenny still here with you, Burt Randolph-Sugar, Teddy Atlas, and we're now joined by the former heavyweight champion of the world, Michael Moorer. Burt, this is only 5 months after Evander takes the title back from Riddick Bowe. What were your thoughts at the time now that Michael Moorer is making his challenge?
Well, Michael Moorer is I think, an excellent fighter, but nobody really knew what he could do in the heavyweight division. Assuredly, he'd won, I think, 3 fights. But they really weren't even household names in their own household. You really didn't know what he could do. And the question was more about Evander than it was about Michael. What did he have left after 2 very hard fights with Riddick? And then there was that little asterisk that was historical that said, this is only the 2nd southpaw ever to fight for the heavyweight championship, Carl Mildenberger being the first. Although I now find out that he's a converted southpaw. He really is a right-handed fighter like Marvelous Marvin Hagler. So even that was an asterisk.
Let's get right to this fight. Oh, go ahead, Mike.
And as a kid, my grandfather tried to switch me over, but I couldn't do it. It was so awkward.
Switch you back over to
Orthodox.
To Orthodox, and you couldn't do it at that point.
Couldn't do it at all.
So we'll get to this fight. Again, as a southpaw coming up, it's silky smooth. Michael Moore challenging for the heavyweight championship of the world. Things get very trying for Michael here in round number 2.
Holyfield almost stepped into it. Moore is going after him. Michael's really going after him. Went from the head to the body. Evander covers up, takes some punishment. Less than 30 left in the second. Evander counters to the left of his own. And a right, and a left. Down goes Moore. Holyfield can't punch any harder than that. The challenger stunned, but not glassy-eyed. Holyfield landed an absolute bomb to end the round. And the crowd stands as one.
All right, Michael, let's start with you. I mean, what goes through your mind? Do you remember any of that when you get knocked down? What do you recall from that round?
What I remember is that working on in the gym, Teddy was telling me to try to keep focus on what I had to do and keep my eyes on him instead of taking my eyes off of him. And I took my eyes off him briefly, and that's when they caught me. But I wasn't hurt at all. I sat there on one knee, because being a smart fighter, you sit there on one knee.
You were poised that way, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely. And I looked at Teddy and I said, I'm okay, I'm all right. And he knew that because it wasn't a hard punch.
And Teddy, that's a calm Teddy Atlas right there, right? You gave him a second to regroup. You know, what were your thoughts there?
If I needed to be calm, I knew when I needed not to be calm, I think. But I needed to be calm then because he was coming out of a tough situation, being dropped. If I'm not calm, what is he going to rely on? How am I going to make sure that he's going to get himself to where he needs to get himself?
You're basically saying it's all right.
Yeah, I got to make sure that I do my job. And there's two parts to that. The first part was the technical part, to tell him what he did wrong. The other part, I wanted to make sure that he understood what he did wrong and why it happened. You don't want to go back out there not knowing why you were dropped, because that's like going into a dark room and you don't know what's there. You want the fighter to at least have the confidence, if I correct this, I'll be okay. This is why it happened. And the other thing is, I remind him he'd been on the floor before in his career. And every time he'd been on the floor, he won. So in other words, you've been here before, let's go win again.
Let's get to round 5 right now. And again, things start to get interesting here from Michael Moore. As Michael, you start to bounce back. You tell us, how are things going for you right about here in the 5th round?
Well, I started to feel good because in a corner, once you hear Teddy just going at it, you know, it's a motivation for me. Teddy was telling me what I had to do because I couldn't see inside the ring. And just keep working my jab, working the body, working the jab, working the body.
What were your thoughts on Evander at this point? Was he what you expected? Or how different?
I thought he was going to be better. I thought he was going to be better, but I trained to be better. I trained to be the best for that fight.
Do you think that the Bo fight took anything out of him?
If the Bo fight took anything out of him, he shouldn't have took this fight.
All right, so Michael Moore starts to establish control in this fight, challenging for the heavyweight championship of the world. That was a calm Teddy Atlas that you saw earlier. This will not be the calm Teddy Atlas that you'll see after round 8.
Do you want me to change places with you? Do you? Nah, Michael. Listen, this guy is finished. You know, it comes a time in a man's life when he makes a decision. He makes a decision to just live, survive, or he wants to win. You're doing just enough to keep him off you and hope he leaves you alone. You're lying to yourself because you're going to cry tomorrow. You're lying to yourself, and I'd lie to you if I let you get away with that. You're going to cry tomorrow because of that. Do you want to cry tomorrow? Huh? Then don't lie to yourself anymore. There's something wrong with this guy. Back him up and fight a full round. And after the right hook, pull the left off the punch.
Now, before we actually got to that, actually, you sat down in the stool. So, Michael, you're coming back, you see there's a guy sitting in the stool.
Right.
It's Teddy. What were your thoughts?
Well, I can't say it on TV. I was like, come on, Teddy. You know, in my mind, I was like, come on, Teddy. You know, theatrics. But he was serious. You know, he knew what I could do, and I had to go out there and perform. And that's that motivation that I needed for him to come and drive me to go out there and win the fight.
Look, it was spontaneous as far as that action, but what wasn't spontaneous was thinking for many weeks and months about this fight and what I might have to do. Knowing my guy, you know, I'm no smarter than anyone else, but I am a professional trainer. And if you are a professional trainer, you better know your subject. And I knew my guy. I got to know what he needed. He was a guy that would do just enough if you left him alone. Just enough to get by. Sometimes maybe just enough not to get by. And to use an analogy, if I was a gardener, and I'm not no gardener, but if I was a gardener, I don't think I'd wait until the weeds were choking the hell out of all my bushes to start pulling the weeds. Well, the weeds were starting to choke the heck out of my fighter, and I started pulling them before I got to the point of no return. I felt that we were at that point where if I continued to allow him to behave that way and to lay back and be satisfied to do just enough to keep the guy off him, just enough to survive rounds, we were not going to be heavyweight champ of the world. So I had to do something to wake him up, something to get his attention, something to show him the seriousness of what the situation was, and that became the something.
We'll take a short break here. It's Classic Ringside. Evander Holyfield. Evander Holyfield trying to defend his title after regaining the championship against Riddick Bowe. Michael Moore's moment coming up. Up to 10 pulsating rounds, Evander Holyfield's heavyweight reign was hanging in the balance. Unbeaten challenger Michael Moore had gone down in the second round, but rebounded strongly against the champion. Both fighters knew they needed a big finish. Let's get back to the action right now.
I'll tell you one thing. Michael, in your mind, you're doing your best.
Michael.
Have I ever lied to you? Michael, you're not doing your best. You're going to try afterwards. You're never going to have an opportunity again like this. You're throwing jabs and you're satisfied. You're satisfied just to do enough to keep him off you. You can't do that now. In this world, we can't do that all the time.
Fight him, Mike.
You want to win?
What's going to get you through it? You got to get out there and you got to get after it, man. It's time to go to work. You can do it, Holyfield. You can do it. Jesus loves you, and you can do it.
Don't let him back. Fight the whole round.
From our scoring, Moore needs a knockout. Holyfield leads by at least a round or two. But he hasn't been convincing since early in the fight. He knocks down the challenger in the second. Moore comes out aggressively, already drawing blood. Another great right hand. Moore going for it. Teddy Atlas trying to pry this out of him earlier in the fight. A great right hand by Moore. Some of his best punches in the fight. Finally, here in the 12th, leans into a right and lands. All Moore thus far. Evander bleeding, holding on. Moore knows he needs a knockout. Atlas screamed at him since the 6th round to do this. He felt he was stronger. He could get away with some mistakes. But he hasn't taken any risk until now. Holyfield backs Moore into a corner. Barely see out of the right eye. decisive this round, but he is. This the best round since the second. Moore talking to him. Look at the blood out of Holyfield's eye.
Shirley scores the bout 114 to 114. He has it even. Chuck Jaffa scores the bout 116 to 112. And Jerry Ross scores it 115 to 114 for the winner by majority decision and new heavyweight champion of the world, Michael.
Holyfield's camp stunned.
I think the announcer there was stunned only, and to hear that somehow he had Evander Holyfield way up on that. Michael, first of all, let's go back. You look like a different guy in that 12th round. You meant business. You meant business all 3 minutes. Tell us about that 12th round.
Well, I had to do business because I had him. He told me to go out there. This was the last round. I had to go out there. I had to win the fight. And I had to do everything possible, everything in my arsenal to go out there and win the fight.
What is it like to watch yourself? You're talking about being in the moment where you're just taking it to one of the top warriors, and at the end, you knew it. What was it like to watch that for you?
I could do a lot better now.
You could do better than that now. Yes. Teddy, you want to talk to this guy?
I'm going to make believe I didn't hear that.
All right, Teddy. Well, now, at the end, you didn't jump out, leap into Michael. Where were you after all this? Where were you?
I was...
he was walking around.
I was looking for my children.
Yeah.
I had promised my children years before, they were both young, and I promised them years before that when we win the heavyweight title, that I would bring them into the ring. And I was keeping that promise.
I remember he was walking around looking for him.
And I went over to the CEO of Caesar's Palace, a guy named Henry Gluck, I believe, and he was congratulating me, and I said, forget about that. I need to get my kids into the ring. He turned around to the security and said, get Teddy Atlas's kids into this ring, and they started handing them to people. And they, and they
How old were they?
They were like, my daughter was about 11, my son was about 8, or my daughter was 12, my son was about 10, and they started handing them to people, and they did like a line of handing them up to people, and I was waiting for them in the ring, and they put them in the ring.
And you got them in.
And I said, they said to me, you did it. I said, no, we did it. And I just wanted to be with them.
Ahead on ringside, Teddy and Burt look back at the bizarre and gruesome Mike Tyson ear-biting incident against Holyfield. Plus a special appearance in Gleason's gym with the former lightweight champion of the world, Ray Boom Boom Mancini. Boom Boom breaks down fight footage from the final chapter, Holyfield Bow 3.
Holyfield, good left hook! Holy cow! What a turnaround! Can you believe this?
Up next, Holyfield digs himself out of deep trouble with merciless Ray Mercer.
The heads came together in a punch, and that right eye from Evander Holyfield now streaming with blood.
This is Ringside from Gleason's gym. Welcome back to Ringside. 13 months after losing his belt to Michael Moore, a rusty Evander Holyfield took on Ray Mercer. It's May 20th, 1995 in Atlantic City. Mercer is sharp early, scoring with jabs and opening a deep cut on Holyfield's right eye.
Round number 2 comes to an end, and Holyfield fending off Mercer. Good finish for Ray Mercer. The eye is
win. After 7 rounds, Mercer had the former world champion in big trouble. Holyfield's eye was bleeding profusely. His legs were cramping and was losing on 2 of the judges' cards.
You gotta stay with the jab. As soon as you finish, spin. As soon as you finish, spin. Half step. Understand?
But in the 8th round, the momentum that Mercer had managed was interrupted when referee Ron Lipton called in the ring doctor to check out the cut on the corner of Holyfield's eye. When the fight resumed, Mercer was put on the canvas for the first time in his career.
And a left as well, and Holyfield clubs away, and Mercer goes down to one knee. A series of rights and lefts.
With a vintage comeback, Holyfield won the last 3 rounds of the fight and was awarded the decision. Yet another captivating and courageous battle won by the Warrior. Up next, it's the final chapter. Holyfield versus Bo 3. Boom Boom Mancini standing by with Bert Sugar to break down the Bo showdown from Caesars Palace.
We return here to Gleason's Gym. Brian Kenny, Burt Randolph, Sugar, and we are now joined by the former lightweight champion of the world, Ray Boom Boom Mancini. Ray, great to have you here.
Thank you. Great to be here.
So, give me your take. I mean, as a warrior, as a guy that came to fight every time out, Bo Holyfield at heavyweight throwing over 100 punches a round.
Well, this for every man, there's another man. And no matter how many rounds you fight, you're always going to have great fights. These 2 guys that were made for each other. The trilogy was one of the greatest trilogies, especially for big men. Usually the great trilogies are lighter weight. But for big men, one of the greatest trilogies, I've seen in years. And both guys, like I said, gave as much as they took. It just every fight was close. You never knew what was going to happen, and I don't know, man. I just love watching these guys fight.
I can imagine a guy again like you fighting at 135. You look at most heavyweights and you think, oh come on, right? I mean, most big guys are a little lazier than the smaller guys. What are your thoughts on watching most heavyweight fights?
Well, most heavyweight fights, right? You say, they don't throw enough punches. They're too lackadaisical in there. But these guys proved together that they were made for each other. And, Evander was a guy who was always going to make you stay in top at your best. And Bo met him head on. And, he was a big, strong guy. Evander did well against big, strong guys. A lot of people thought he had a problem. He did well with strong guys. And Bo was a big, strong guy. And together, they just made for an interesting, fight. They could have fought 90 rounds, 100 rounds. It was always going to be the same type of fight.
November 4th, 1995. Bo Holyfield 3, Bert. This is a non-title fight. Set us up.
Each had won 1 fight. As Ray said, nonstop. You got the impression of each of them were lawyers that are hollered the defense rests because they hit everybody. They hit every time they threw a punch. But now Evander, who has lost his title to Bo, regained it from Bo, has lost it to Michael Moore. So this is a non-title fight. But it's still, as Ray says, the perfect part for a trilogy because each has won 1, and the fans want more.
Let's go to it. Listen in. Round 4 of Bo Holyfield 3.
Evander Holyfield as a good infighter, 6'2", 213-pound heavyweight in this new era of the super heavyweights. Here he is for the 3rd time, sitting in there, matching punch for punch with a 240-pound prime Riddick Bowe. But that's the mentality of Evander Holyfield. He believes in himself that he can fight on the inside.
He is a good infighter. We know he's a good infighter. But a lot of it is just ego. He's going to show everyone that he could stand there with this 240-pound guy as he's doing right now.
Look at that. Very, very nice left hand from Holyfield.
And because he was successful there, he's going to continue to go out of his game plan where he should be boxing. Like he opened up this round with a couple of great jabs.
Bowe scores with a right hand of his own. We are 2 years removed from their second fight when we had the Fan Man episode, and it was a very different Riddick Bowe that we saw in that fight. Holyfield went on to win a majority decision. That fight was also here at Caesars Palace. It's a beautiful night here on the Vegas Strip. 62 degrees, over 12,000 fans for this much anticipated 3rd fight in this heavyweight trilogy.
The 28th round they've spent in front of each other right now. They know each other well, they respect each other a lot.
actually in recent years developed a very nice relationship outside the ring.
Yes, they have. How can you not with one another? When you face each other like this, you've seen what each other's got.
Combination from Bo. Ball back to the inside. Holyfield tying up that left hand for a moment of Riddick Bowe. Trying to push him back, but now slowing his pace a bit is Holyfield. See if he can pick it back up here.
Very effective. Very effective. Those little body shots, they don't look hard. They add up towards later in the round. Peppering the body, ripping uppercuts. You see his head moving up.
Gets off with a 4-punch combination. Yeah, holding behind the head from Holyfield. You see the brief warning from Joe Cortez.
Now, if you're Riddick Bowe, you want to be fighting in the inside. You want to just be a little aggressive. Grab Holyfield, wrestle with him, fight him on the inside, and don't let Holyfield move like the way he's doing there.
Looks like keep him in of 2 rounds compared to the Holyfield that opened up this 4th round on the attack.
He needs to be busier, Holyfield. It doesn't seem like or maybe he's resting this round.
Maybe he's slowing. Something we said we would look out for. Are we seeing it now? Here he comes again, picking his spots, and Bowe answers back.
Just when you think he's slowing, he comes back with a combination.
More of Bo Holyfield 3 ahead on Ringside. See how the real deal rallied in round 6 and sent Big Daddy to the canvas for the first time in his career.
Holyfield, good left hook. Holy cow! What a turnaround! Can you believe this?
Later, Ringside looks back at the glory and controversy of Holyfield's 2 historic bouts with Iron Mike Tyson. Keep it here on ESPN Classic.
We're through 5 rounds now in the 3rd and final fight between Riddick Bowe and Evander Holyfield. Things get crazy again here in round 6.
Landed a nice hook, Holyfield.
Holyfield trying to come back.
Holyfield, good left hook. Holy cow! What a turnaround! Can you believe this?
Now that's the Evander Holyfield that we know. Just when you think he's getting beat.
You all right? For the first time in the career of Big Daddy, Riddick Bowe has been knocked down. Oh my!
And a right hand connect.
Holyfield on the attack.
How much does he have left?
He found the energy somehow, some way, but does he have enough to finish the job? Bowe has steadied himself.
It seems that Bowe's got his feet under him right now. He's just being tactical in the corner.
Wow. What a 6th round. These 2 gave us one of the most dynamic moments in recent boxing history in their first fight, and now they're thrilling us here in their 3rd fight.
Now, you may not want to let Bowe out of the corner at that point. It seems that Evander just let him out, like he has nothing left.
May have punched himself out, Joe. And now Bowe returns some fire.
Now, it looks like Bowe's got his legs back, his strength back, and Evander may have punched himself out.
What courage by Evander Holyfield just to put himself into that position of being on the precipice.
A beautiful left hook.
Possible stunner.
Come on, get him out of there. Come on, get him out of there. Come on, let's go.
Final minute of this 6th round. A 6th round that started with fireworks.
Looking as if Evander's just trying to hang on now.
He's run out of gas, hasn't he?
Shaking his head, taking steps backward.
But he gives you everything he has.
Always does.
It may not all be there tonight. He's clearly affected. But what is there is pure gold. Tries with the short left hand again. It caused the knockdown. The first time Bo has ever been down. He's reacted well. Nice jab from Holyfield. Very good work with the jab from Holyfield.
He always finishes strong.
Tries the right hand. Oh, what a 6th round. Bo Holyfield 3.
Great round.
So a Holyfield hook drops big Riddick Bowe. Your thoughts, Ray?
Well, you know, Evander's always been a great left hooker. You know, and he come on, he stays low, he jumps up with it, boom, he hit him with a shot. First time they said Bowe went down. Said he ain't getting up. But he did get up, to his credit, and he came back strong.
Took a big hook there first.
You know,
it's funny, as we roll this back, you see the first hook,
there
then
it is again.
the knockdown.
Boom. You know, but as my friend Bert Sugar said, he said Evander hit a wall. You know, and I never realized it until I watched that. He's right. Evander just, you know, he couldn't turn around when he needed to. All he had to do was hit him a few more shots, put him back to back. He would have stopped him, but he couldn't turn on the juice.
And yet he was pity-patting, because you had your impression it wasn't just that he had spent himself. It wasn't just that he was tired. That was his effort almost for the evening, because I don't know what it was, but that's what brought the heart condition in question into play. He just stopped. He had him down, he gets up, and I can safely say that wasn't one of the greatest finishing acts I've ever seen in boxing.
Yet Bowe's resilience, I mean, that's something, right? I mean, that because
But it was helped a heck of a lot by Evander's
Well, but then Evander still was coming after him for a while in the corner that he was spending off shots too, Bert.
Well, to his credit,
you got to stand there, Bert.
Any man get up. He was hurt. He went down hard.
Yeah.
He got up. He was staggered. You know, if Evander, look, if Evander had a little bit left in the tank, he'd have jumped on him, maybe kamikaze on him, stopped him. But as you said, he got up, he weathered the storm, and to his credit, he did.
So he gets through round 6. Riddick Bowe starts to break back now and force the action. Let's go now to round number 8. Holyfield Bowe 3.
Round number 8.
Great advice, Joe, but I just don't think he has what it takes to get around side, to step left, step right. He just doesn't seem like the fighter that we've seen from the past.
Hey, placed a pretty good right hand there. Remember how he started that 6th round? He scored a knockdown. He's coming forward. Here comes Holyfield, but he gets caught by a short right hand from Riddick Bowe.
He's hurt, Joe.
He is hurt badly.
8. He might.
9. Just beats the count.
How do you feel? Take a step forward. Take a step forward. Take a step forward. Take a step forward. All right, let's go.
Barely listening to the commands of Joe Cortez. It's over. That's it. It is over.
That's it.
Evander Holyfield has never been knocked out. All the battles, all the wars, and Riddick Bowe is the one to do it. That is not a good scene for Holyfield, Joe.
Not a good scene at all, Joe, but that's a good stoppage on Joe Cortez's part. He was out of it. He didn't even seem as if he wanted to step forward on Joe Cortez's demand.
Your thoughts, Ray, at the end of that fight?
Well, you know, it's hard to see. Evander, as my friend Bert said, hit that wall. You can see he had nothing left. He had nothing left. I mean, he got up out of sheer courage, but he was spent. His body had nothing there. Could probably, you know, Bowe could probably breathe heavy on him and knocked him over at that point. But he was spent. But, you know, if you look at all the wars, all the tough fights he had, the 2 fights previous to this one, you know, he gave everything he had. You know, and I keep telling people, a fighter only has so many fights left in him. Only has so many fights in him. It's how many, you know, what fights use up how much.
It brings up a point, too, because Bert, you know, there had to be a feeling. I know there was a feeling at the time that, you know, look, Riddick Bowe, you know, he's going to get back out on top. He's going to have a long reign. Bowe's, you know, descent was very steep.
You wonder how much those 2 left of themselves in those 3 fights. I mean, they gave, and they gave. And sometimes, and Ray will tell you as much as anyone, because he was in there in the action, sometimes you leave pieces of yourself in every fight. And those 3 fights left pieces.
It's funny you said that. I always tell people, you always leave a piece of yourself in every fight. The question becomes how many pieces you got left.
You stepped away when first? The first time you retired, what, you're 24?
That's 24. And
24.
one thing I'm most proud of, Brian, the one thing I'm most proud of, I can still spell fight. I can still spell it.
Which is better than hosts can.
Well, there were a lot of pieces left for Evander Holyfield. Amazingly enough, you would figure most fighters would have called it quits after this one, after this loss to Riddick Bowe, where he goes down face first. But Evander Holyfield isn't like most guys. Evander Holyfield would fight on and have even greater glory as he marched forward still against Lennox Lewis, and of course, Mike Tyson. We're back in Gleason's gym. This is Ringside, Evander Holyfield, right after this. November 1996, Evander Holyfield finally gets in the ring with Mike Tyson. He'd been trying to get Tyson in the ring, Bert.
This is the 4th time they've signed. Something always came up, one of which was Buster Douglas, another of which was an injury to Mike, another of which was his incarceration in jail, and now he gets him, and yet Mike is invincible again, 2nd time around.
Seemingly.
Well, according to the bettors, the bettors almost have this 20-1 it opens at.
What do you think of this fight, Teddy, at this point in time, at this point in Tyson's career?
Well, honestly, Holyfield had been knocked out by Bo. He had looked terrible against Bobby Ches. You'd be a liar if you didn't say you're not responsible as a person, if you didn't say you were worried about Holyfield physically, that you just didn't think he had it left physically anymore. You knew that he had more character as a person than Tyson, but you didn't know if he'd be able to physically withstand what he had to withstand to bring it to that battlefield, to bring it to that place. You know, there's an old saying that when it's a battle, when 2 men's skills are battling and they're pretty even, it becomes a battle of will. The will overtake the skill, unless one man's skill is so far superior that the other man's will never gets tested. It seemed to be that kind of case where you'd never get to that place because physically Holyfield didn't have enough to withstand what he would have to withstand early.
And yet that will showed right after the 1st round. You could see who the winner was.
But more than that,
bell.
it's more than that. Physically, he was okay.
Yeah, but
Holyfield was physically okay, wasn't shot. And then it was a matter of character, and he was too much man.
But there was one moment after that 1st round.
He hit him back.
Yes, Mike Tyson did as usual. He hit after the bell. A fairly bodacious punch. And as Mitch Halpern, the referee, tried to get between them, Holyfield came through with a left hook from hell. And Mike's eyes just opened up. Right. The bully was out bullied.
That was the fight right there. He's right.
That was it.
Because he was saying, this is different. I am not one of these pawns. I am not one of these guys that you push around, that you intimidate, that you run over, that you treat any way you want to and you abuse. I am a man. Tonight's going to be different. Take this. Let's go fight. I'll see you in another minute.
Michael, what do you think of this first fight?
Well, actually, it was a co-main event. I fought Francois both on that card, so I was at the hospital. And
you defended your title that night. That's right, the title you had won from Schultz.
Right.
You had defended your title. You knocked out both in the 11th round.
12th.
The 12th round. Yeah. And you dropped him in the 11th.
Remember, he's the one that took the punches.
Well, he's the one who did everything.
Yeah.
Without him, there's no title.
And I went to the hospital, but I thought that Holyfield... At this time, I thought Mike Tyson was invincible, as they said, but Holyfield looked so much bigger and so much stronger, and it seemed like he wasn't going to take any crap from him at all.
Well, you knew that.
Yeah.
Because that was one thing he was consistent with, was his behavior as a man.
Teddy, did you think that when they rematched, I mean, after all that, because this was Tyson and his entourage at their most disgraceful, leading up to the first fight. So after all the yelling and screaming and the distasteful things that they said, which did nothing to Holyfield, they rematched right away.
In this fight, I remember there was a bunch of newspaper guys out in Vegas, and they had called me up and they told me that the fight might not happen, that Tyson was threatening to pull out of the fight if the referee wasn't changed. It was Mitch Halpern. He didn't want Mitch Halpern in there because he was in the first fight and he said he allowed headbutting. And they said, what do you think about this? He's going to walk away from a $30 million fight. I think he was getting $30 million. And immediately, I really thought to myself, I know what's going to happen. Tyson knows what he's dealing with, and Tyson is a bully. And a bully doesn't go into a fight with a guy who stood up to him because he's not able to. And so I said to myself, he doesn't
want to fight.
He doesn't want to fight. Now, what's going on here? He's setting an alibi. I immediately thought to myself, really, that he's doing this to set an alibi. He wants a golden parachute. He wants a way out. He's going to say to everybody that if the referee's not changed, I'm going to have to do something. There's something going on. And I thought to myself, this is his way to accept the fight. Because I really thought he was finding a way to take the fight, knowing that this guy was going to stand up to him. How is a bully going to go into a fight knowing he had no advantage? That he didn't have a guy that was terrified. And I thought to myself, he's going to foul. And I told the newspaper guys right then.
I remember that.
I said, He's gonna get disqualified. I said he's gonna get disqualified, and they said, Teddy, you're losing your mind. What are you talking
Teddy,
about?
had he ever, in all the, again, as an amateur when you had him, had he ever tried to foul his way out of the ring or just do anything bizarre?
When he got frustrated, he would headbutt. He would, you know what he would do? He would show a weakness by when he didn't knock you out, and he did this in the Bone Crusher Smith fight, the Tony Tucker fight, the Mitch Green fight. When he didn't knock you out, he put your hands behind you, and that's making a silent agreement. You're not supposed to put your hands behind you when you're 5'10" and you can punch like a son of a gun and your arms are this long. You're supposed to fight. You're supposed to punch in there. That's your strength. And he used to make silent agreements. If you don't hit me, I won't hit you. So he showed a weakness. And when he said that he was going to pull out of a $30 million fight, I said, who would pull out of a $30 million fight? Wait a minute, he's setting up an alibi. He's setting himself up where he's saying, because you didn't change the referee, I gave you a warning. I told you that I'm going to have to protect myself. So if it gets tough, if this guy doesn't get scared of me, if this guy doesn't get hit with a lucky punch and go away, I know how I can go in this fight. I can go in this fight with an alibi where I'm going to foul. And there's only 3 fouls: hit low, headbutt, or bite.
We got to wrap this up with the Lennox Lewis fights. And Bert, is in some strange way, did Evander lose that first fight and really win the second? But did the draw create a backlash where he couldn't get a score decision in that second fight? A lot of people thought Evander actually should have won that second fight, but the feeling was that it was an egregious mistake with Eugenia Williams doing the judging and everything else in New York. You couldn't win that second fight for Evander.
Well, I don't know what the scoring was. I tried to talk to Eugenia Williams, and I tripped over a seeing eye dog, so I don't know what she was watching. But it was, Evander, and they were going to help him, and also let it be known as wonderful, and I'm a big fan of his, Lennox Lewis. There were times he is just, he takes his time. He's almost too careful. And he let Evander off the hook, and that might have given Evander...
In the first fight?
No, when the second
fight, yeah, okay.
Particularly
the first fight was
no.
Not close.
No, but the second fight...
He won the second fight.
Evander, you thought he won the second fight?
I thought
yeah, a lot of people
won
thought
the
that. Yeah, well, the first fight wasn't close, right?
But judges do what judges do. I mean,
unfortunately.
Yes, in these circumstances. Guys,
Very unfortunate.
We have to wrap this up. We'd like to thank everybody, and we hope you've enjoyed our 3-hour marathon coverage of the career of Evander Holyfield. Thanks once again to Gleason's Gym for allowing us to provide such an authentic backdrop to Holyfield's story. And also thanks to all of our guests, of course, Lou Duva, Michael Moore, Teddy Atlas, Ray Boom Boom Mancini, and my co-host, the incomparable, the bon vivant man about town, Bert